There's a specific kind of loneliness that only smart people know. It doesn't come from being unwanted, it comes from being unmatched. You walk into a room full of people, you smile, you say the right things, and somewhere underneath it all, a quiet voice says the same thing it always does. Nobody in here is going to get me. Most people call that arrogance. They think you're holding yourself above them. But psychology tells a very different story. What looks like distance is often just a mind moving at a speed the room can't follow. Because here's the truth almost no one tells you. Intelligence isn't only a gift. Past a certain point, it becomes a wall, one you didn't build on purpose, and one you may not even know is there. By the end of this video, you'll be able to see all 9 bricks in that wall. And once you see them, you can finally start taking them down. This isn't a new problem. It's an old one, hiding in plain sight. Nearly 100 years ago, a psychologist named Leta Hollingworth studied children with extremely high intelligence, and she found something strange. The smartest kids weren't the happiest. They were the loneliest. She discovered that once a person's intelligence climbs far past the people around them, connection gets harder, not easier. She called it a problem of too much. Too much awareness, too much depth, too much seeing. You are not broken. You are not cold. You may simply be carrying a mind that was never built for shallow water. So let's walk through the 9 signs, starting with one that almost every intelligent person has felt, and almost none of them can explain. Sign 1. You finish the conversation in your head before it ends. Someone starts telling you a story, and within seconds you already know where it's going. You've reached the conclusion, considered 3 responses, and quietly started waiting for them to catch up. This is real. Researchers who study fast cognition have found that high processing speed changes how conversations feel from the inside. When your brain predicts the ending early, the middle starts to feel slow. The silence between their words stretches, and you're left nodding along to something you finished thinking about a full minute ago. Here's the painful part. The person in front of you doesn't see a fast mind. They see a person who seems bored by them. And little by little, they stop bringing you the things that matter. But finishing conversations early is just the surface. What you do next is where the isolation really begins. Sign 2. You've learned to translate yourself down. You have a full thought, the real one. And then, in the half second before you speak, you shrink it. You cut the nuance. You round off the edges. You hand people the simple version, because the real one takes too long and lands too hard. Leta Hollingworth had a phrase for this. She said, highly intelligent people spend their lives learning to suffer fools gladly, smiling through conversations that never quite reach them. That constant translating has a name in modern psychology. It's a form of masking, and masking is exhausting. So think about what that means. Every conversation costs you something. You're not just talking, you're editing in real time so the world can handle you. And a person who edits themselves all day eventually forgets what they sound like unedited. Now here's where it gets physical. Sign 3. Small talk doesn't bore you, it drains you. For most people, chit-chat is easy. It's the warm-up. For you, it can feel like lifting something heavy with your mind. The weather, the weekend, the traffic. Each empty exchange leaves you a little more tired, and you can't understand why. Susan Cain, who spent years researching introversion and sensitivity, describes minds that are simply more reactive to their environment. For these minds, a room full of noise and surface-level talk isn't neutral. It's a load. You're processing everything, every tone, every face, every subtext while trying to care about a conversation with no depth to hold on to. So you leave the party early. You go quiet in the group, and people decide you're antisocial. When the truth is, you were working the entire time, and no one could see the effort, which leads directly to the way people start to misread you. Sign 4. Your calm gets mistaken for coldness. When something goes wrong, you don't panic. You analyze. You step back, look at the problem, and start solving it, while everyone else is still reacting to you. This is care. This is you helping, but there's a psychological trap here called the curse of knowledge. Once you understand something clearly, it becomes almost impossible to remember what it felt like not to understand it. So while you're calmly explaining the solution, the other person isn't feeling helped. They're feeling small. They wanted you to feel it with them, and instead, you fixed it. And so the label gets applied slowly by people who never meant to be cruel, distant, robotic, cold, words that have nothing to do with how much you actually feel underneath. If you're still watching this, if any of this is landing a little too close, that already tells me something about you. It means you're not just consuming this, you're recognizing yourself in it. That's rare. If this channel is putting words to things you've felt for years but never quite named, consider subscribing. We make videos for the people who think too much and feel it too deeply, and we'd like you here. Now let's go deeper, because the next 4 signs are the ones that really do the isolating. Sign 5. You've started hiding how much you actually know. Somewhere along the way you learned that being right too often has a cost. That correcting people makes them pull away. That knowing the answer makes you the target. So you started dimming, playing a little dumber, letting things slide that you could easily fix. Psychologists call this self-silencing, the habit of hiding your true thoughts to protect a relationship. And studies link chronic self-silencing to real loneliness and low mood. Because when you hide the sharpest part of yourself to be accepted, the acceptance never quite feels real. Deep down, you know they're bonding with the dimmed version, not you. That's a quiet kind of alone, being liked for a self you had to shrink into. Sign 6. You're starving for a depth most rooms can't give. You don't want more conversations. You want deeper ones. You'd trade 50 pleasant chats for one that goes all the way down, and most of the time that conversation never comes, so you leave social situations full of people and completely unfed. There's fascinating research on this. A study by psychologists Kanazawa and Li found something counterintuitive. For most people, socializing more often makes them happier. But for highly intelligent people, the opposite showed up. The smarter someone was, the less happy frequent socializing made them. Their minds seemed built for a different kind of connection, rarer, deeper, and much harder to find. So you're not antisocial. You're selectively starving, surrounded by water, and none of it is the kind you can drink. But depth hunger creates a second problem, one that quietly damages your closest relationships. Sign 7. You analyze the people you love until you talk yourself out of them. You notice everything. The tiny shift in their tone, the word they chose, the contradiction between what they said last week and what they're saying now. And instead of letting it go, your mind runs it again and again. This is called rumination, repetitive looping analysis of a problem, and research consistently ties it to anxiety and depression. The very intelligence that solves problems out there turns inward and starts solving the people closest to you. But people aren't problems. And when you analyze someone long enough, you can always find a reason to leave. So, you end things early, you spot the flaw and exit before it can hurt you, and you call it discernment, when sometimes it's just fear wearing a very smart disguise. Which brings us to the root of all of it. Sign 8. Somewhere along the way, solitude became the only place you feel safe. Think back. There was probably a time when being alone wasn't a preference. It was a relief. A room where no one could misread you, outpace you, or make you shrink. So you went there more and more, until being alone stopped feeling like a choice and started feeling like home. Attachment researchers, going back to John Bowlby, showed that we all build a template for closeness based on early experience. And if being your full intelligent self got you rejected often enough, your mind quietly learned a rule. Connection is risky. Solitude is safe. So it started steering you toward the safe room every single time. The problem is, the safe room is also the lonely one. And the longer you stay, the more the door starts to feel like it only opens one way. And that is exactly why the last sign matters more than all the others. Sign 9. You've confused being alone with being unreachable, and you're not. Here is the thing every isolated, intelligent person needs to hear. Your mind is not too much. It was just placed in too many rooms that were too small for it. That is not the same as being unlovable. It never was. Carl Jung wrote that loneliness doesn't come from having no people around you. It comes from being unable to share the things that matter most to you, and that's a solvable problem. Not by dimming yourself, you've tried that, and it only made the loneliness quieter, not smaller. But by finding the few people and the few rooms where your full depth is a gift instead of a threat, they exist. They are rarer than you'd like, but they are out there, thinking too much and feeling too deeply, wondering the exact same thing you are, whether anyone will ever truly get them. So the next time that quiet voice says nobody in here understands you, hear it for what it actually is. Not proof that you're broken, just proof that you haven't found your people yet. Your intelligence didn't isolate you to punish you. It isolated you because it was waiting for connection deep enough to be worth it. You are not too much. You've just been searching in water too shallow to hold you. And the moment you stop hiding the depth, that's the moment the right people can finally find you. If this spoke to something in you, I made another video on the hidden inner world of highly intelligent minds that I think will hit just as hard. It's right here, waiting whenever you're ready.